Gareth Jones, and this is my studio, The Art Lab. I just want to flag up that I'm doing a live Zoom Q&A on the Vaughn George YouTube channel on Sunday, December the 6th in the evening. It's going to be a couple of hours, and I'm going to take questions and chat about my life in music and the recording studios, and hopefully chat a little bit about my Electrogenetic record as well. Thank you.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. And this is a little off-the-cuff Gareth Jones. What are you up to, sir?
Hey Vaughn, welcome back to my shed. I am slowly moving back into my Studio A. I had a big big creative productive session in Studio B at home over the first lockdown, and a few bits and pieces moved home, and I'm gradually moving back in here now, and I'm really enjoying it actually. Lots of reasons, I suppose, because of the tape machine and the tube summing and the whole analog outboard that I didn't have at home, and my awesome monitors. So I'm back in the zone in here. I have been doing some vocals with my friend Andy for a new project.
Andy Bell from Erasure.
And that is going really well. It's been really fun. I've been talking to Vince in New York on the internet, obviously, and feeding stuff to him and taking feedback from him.
He lives in New York now, does he?
In Brooklyn, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's got the most awesome stuff. I've seen many of Vince's studios over the years because we've known each other for so long, and obviously he's got a legendary collection of synths.
Yeah.
And each kind of iteration of his studio that I've seen kind of gets more and more perfect in a more and more minimal and functional way. So currently, I believe, I've not seen him for a while, but I believe currently he's working out of the basement in his house in Brooklyn, or in their house in Brooklyn, and it's just really beautiful. I think there's a bunch of photos of that studio that you can link to through my website.
Okay.
Where I've just gone around. Basically, I've just gone around and taken photographs of like a geek, all photographs of all the gear.
Because Vince is like the numero uno, like a guru as far as analog synths and stuff go.
He's one of many great analog geniuses. Yes, yeah. As I've said before, there's a generation before us that were all doing it. We always thought that Kraftwerk were the grandfathers.
Yes,
in a way, because they started in the 70s. But anyway, so that's been a lot of fun. I wrote a record with my friend Emily Tierson over lockdown, which I made in Studio B at home, which I'm thinking about renaming it Studio G.
We spoke about this last time.
Did we?
G for Genius, or G for
Gareth.
G for Gareth, yeah.
I suppose. I'm going to call it Studio G. Anyway, so we did that. We did some mixing together on the island where she lives, Wesson, over the summer, and we did almost final mix tweaks here last week, where
she was here.
We used Audio Movers actually.
Oh yes.
The record company was in Berlin. And we've not announced the record yet, so I won't give any more details about the record company. But the record company was in Berlin. She was in France, and I was here. And you stream with Audio Movers, top quality MP3 right. I used, so they could hear the tweaks as we did them.
Right.
And that was great. I recorded everything on tape as well as digital at the same time, and we're really liking the sound of the tape at the moment, me and Emily. So we'll probably use the tape for certainly most of the mastering. I re-digitize the tape anyway at 96K, and then we choose which we prefer, the straight digital or the tape, and then send those copies off to master.
Is it difficult when you're comparing the digital to the tape? Because won't you always have this bias towards, because you love tape?
No, I did the record I did in Wesson with Jan this summer. We chose about 50-50. You do both at the time, and then actually we had a bias towards the tape when we did Jan's record. But at the end of the session, we took a few days off, and then we came back and had a listen, and then we sensibly decided to we said, oh, just before we commit to the tape, let's check the digital as well. And then we finished up choosing about half and half.
That's very interesting, because so you don't sort of necessarily, this is for the fanboys out there, because I think most people would go, oh, we're working on tape, let's work on tape. So obviously tape has a different sonic quality to it. So it just depends on the record. Sometimes you'll favour the digital over the tape sometimes.
Yeah. Particularly, I mean, sometimes for us anyway, it was as simple as the tape was too hissy. So then on another example, there was a lot of grand piano chords, and on a couple of pieces, the transients of the grand piano were cleaner in a beautiful way on the digital. And the tape sounded gorgeous too, but because we had the other, we were able to optimize,
it's giving yourself the choice to use both.
It's definitely a different color, but I print at the same time, because they're 3-head machines. When I'm tracking the mix, I've got 2 tracks in the rig. Actually, I'll take my diary. I don't know if anyone wants to see my diary, but I'm building a new album here. But I've got the digital gets recorded on one track and the tape gets recorded on the other track.
Okay.
At the same time, off tape. So they're obviously about 150 milliseconds apart.
Sure.
But then you can just listen to the two. It's very quickly get a feeling for which you might prefer.
Yeah, that's great, because you're essentially do you kind of do like a blindfold test where it's sometimes when you...
No, I haven't done blindfold.
Okay,
you could tell anyway.
You can tell right away. Okay,
especially at the beginning. In the middle of the pieces, I can't really hear the hiss. But at the beginning, if it's quiet at the beginning, you can hear the hiss.
Oh,
sure.
I see.
So straight away, that's the tape.
Okay, that's fascinating.
I don't care about the hiss.
Yeah.
A lot of the time we don't care. We buy into that. It's fine.
I did a video on my Geek Talk series, which was called "The Gurus Don't Care and Nor Should You."
Okay.
And this is something I've found in my years. Talking to people like yourself, Dave Bascombe, and great mentors I've had, people who've actually gone on to do great records. When you're in a room with them, they tend to be less focused on silly things that, I don't want to say the wannabes, but, we have the guys we look up to, and the guys we look up to they just get on and do things. And I also find that with people I'm coaching, they're sometimes... they put these obstacles in their way of things that shouldn't be obstacles.
Yeah.
Like they'll be so focused on, the technicalities and the gear and stuff. And where I'm going with this.
That's partly experience, isn't it? Because partly, Dave Bascombe, a great colleague and genius, has learnt over many years what's worth spending his time on, and what's not worth spending his time on. His time's obviously precious. As we get older, our time becomes more and more precious, obviously. And you realise, and we all get stuck on irrelevant shit. I do. I'm constantly having to remind myself that I'm on my journey. This is my life, and where I put my attention is stuff that gets done. And if I put my attention on deciding I really must re-alphabetise my CDs and dust to the bookshelf, I don't get round to writing the new Electrogenetic track that I want to write. So it's easy to. I think so. So I'm saying 2 things. One, it's experience. You realise it's just, don't even worry about it. No one cares. And the other is, I need to step away from that. Might be procrastination. Obsessing about some technicality can be a reason not to move forward and complete the project, because I'm nervous about the composition or something. So anyway.
No, it's we spoke about this last time. It's as the words of wisdom I've taken from you, and I've passed it on to people on my group here. Is our job. I don't want to sound cynical. I don't want to sound depressing, but we'll put this in. No, I don't want to say it on your tombstone, but it's like Gareth Jones. What was the Joe Meek saying? The Joe Meek company. They said, if it sounds right, it's right. And yours is, we are not here to judge it, we are here to make it.
I think that's important.
That is actually, as simplistic as that sounds, it's kind of like I think it's like an all timeless wisdom is kind of like very obvious if you bring it back to its fundamentals.
And it's something we all suffer from. I had when I was away in France, over the summer working, I invited a young producer, musician, woman here at Strong Room, who's very interested in modular synths. I gave her access to my room and said, look, play around.
She was here last time, yes.
And
yes.
She did... so I said a week ago or something, I said, oh, did you make any music whilst you were here? And she was like, I could see that she was in doubt about it. And she said, yeah, I did some stuff, but I'm not sure it's very good. Yeah. And I said straight away, look, sister, it's your job is to make it, not to judge it. Please share it. I'm still waiting. So I understand it's pressure because she probably wants to polish it before she plays it to me. But I'm not interested in hearing it polished or unpolished. I just want to hear what she did with my modular whilst I was away.
Well, I think there's always that thing, as I always say to people when they're struggling to get stuff finished, it's kind of like you must understand that nobody cares about that piece of artwork as much as you do. And, you know, you're the person who's making it. You know, people will hopefully receive it in a positive way. But no, as you say, nobody really cares, you know, when you're like getting bogged down on the snare and the, you know, the things that don't really make a difference in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's hard to use examples, isn't it? Because it's so composition dependent. It
Correct.
might be that, I mean, unlikely to be on one of my records, but it might be that the snare is the most important item, or the kick, on that track. Yeah. With a piece of minimal techno. It might be that you need to... I mean, I've spent all afternoon working on a bass sound to get the sub bass right on Electrogenetic. And I was so pleased that I did, because now when I play it to people, people go, that sub is awesome. And I say, well, thank you. I thought I'd gone down a rabbit hole and I did it, you know. But so I can spend a long time on stuff. But I guess part of the experience that someone like Dave brings to the picture is that he knows when it's worth spending time.
Yes.
He might say, well, actually, it's worth me spending 6 hours on that vocal because it's the vocal and it's Beyonce singing and it needs to be right. You know?
Sure.
But it's not worth me spending 6 hours on the hi-hat.
Correct,
You know, so whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
now that reminds me of the Francios Kervorkian who mixed the Violator record. On one of the documentaries, Martin Gore was saying that it was very frustrating watching Francios Kervorkian working because he's such an obsessive. He'd go into a corner with a set of headphones and he'd be like tweaking a hi-hat for a week, so to speak. But as Martin said, when you heard that hi-hat, it was a brilliant hi-hat, you know. So there's all that.
Kevorkian's great.
Yeah.
He mixed a record here for us for Erasure, actually. The eponymous, is it called? The Erasure record. It's called Erasure. Okay. There's one record by Erasure called Erasure that was mixed in Studio 2 here at Andy and I did the vocals in here, and we were late. We were like struggling to keep up with Francios Kervorkian, who was mixing in Studio 2 on the solid state board that's now in Studio 3 upstairs actually. Right. And he was a lovely guy, but yeah, total audiophile fanatic, you know, perfectionist, in fact. But hey, the record sounds great.
It does.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, talking about, as I say, we're going to get, this brings us nicely to Electrogenetic, which we're going to talk about, and we've got some fantastic news for you guys. But before we get onto that, you said Andy Bell's been here, and obviously not at liberty to say what they're working on. Have you heard the latest Erasure record, though?
Neon?
I think it's one of the best they've done in a long time.
Yeah, I've done. I had the great pleasure of doing a remix on one of the tracks.
You have? Yeah. Okay, that's great. So, because you produced which Erasure was it? Love Boat you produced?
I worked on a whole bunch of Erasure records, starting with Wild in the 80s.
Oh yes,
which was when I met them.
Okay.
Which we did I recorded vocals with Andy. It was our first big piece of work together. It might have been the first piece of work together in the church studio now owned by Paul Epworth.
Okay.
So we did, and we did the vocals upstairs in the big room, which which had a stained glass window. It was really magical, really magical.
We love Erasure, and just for the fanboys out there, have you heard Martin Gore's new record?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It's not out yet, is it?
I haven't listened to it myself yet. Sorry, guys. I have listened to one of the tracks that is on YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people have sort of been like, you know, drawing comparisons to yours because it is an analog album. So I'll send you the link.
But the album's not out yet, is it?
I don't believe it is.
I looked on Friday, kind of just look on Tidal every Friday to see the new shit.
No, but
I didn't see it.
There is, as I say, I heard a track and I really liked it. It's very. I mean, the guys know I'm a massive Martin Gore fan.
Yeah, me too, brother.
Love his voice and everything.
He's a genius. Yeah.
But this is very much just a Martin Gore going on a trip. With analog synths, and you can actually hear. I don't know. This doesn't make sense what I'm saying, but you can hear the excitement in there. It's kind of like it's almost like, I think when you're singing with vocals and stuff, there has to be a certain structure. But I think when you're working on just analog stuff like that, it's like throwing paint on a canvas. You can just completely, let come out what needs to come out, so to speak.
Great. I look forward to. Obviously, like many of us, I'm really excited to hear what he does.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to speak about Electrogenetic now, because this is, as you guys know, this was released on the 18th of September. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. A lot of you have bought it from Bandcamp. Thank you very much. And you guys know...
Thank you very much for your interest, everyone.
And you guys know I will never sort of get behind something that I don't love and I'm not passionate about. So we spoke about, in the very first interview here, the idea of getting this released on vinyl. And I was quite surprised to hear that you weren't going to initially release it on vinyl. And then we had a talk, as you guys know. And that's what we're going to talk to you about now. All about the Electrogenetic on vinyl and how you can get involved in this awesome record. Right, we're back. I think we've changed seats now, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Yeah,
it's part of our concept.
Yeah, I was flagging really, so we went and grabbed a coffee. So anyway, cheers to you, sir.
Cheers to you, brother.
To your good health. Right, so guys, we're talking about Electrogenetic now. If we can just recap where we were, the story so far. For those of you who've just sort of come onto this now, Gareth has just produced his first solo album, and the very first question I asked was, why only now produce a solo album? And, we've covered all that.
Okay.
It took you 40 years to make that record.
It did indeed.
Anyway, Electrogenetic is out now on the Calm and Collect independent record label. And it was released on the 18th of September, released digitally and on limited edition cassette.
Limited edition cassette because we haven't got unlimited money, basically.
Yeah.
We're doing two cassettes. I haven't seen either of them yet, but I believe they're both available. One is a black case.
Yeah.
The actual plastic cassette. The outside artwork's the same in both of them.
Yeah.
I think the one in the UK is a black case, and the one in the US is a white case. And the reason we did two is because shipping's so expensive.
Okay,
and we've struggled with Bandcamp shipping. So what we're trying to do is encourage. Obviously, I believe the record company will ship anywhere.
Yeah.
But the idea was to offer a European cassette where people could pay European shipping, and an American cassette where people could pay American shipping. Am I making sense?
You are making absolute sense.
So we're trying to keep shipping to about $2 or $3, basically. Whereas if you sell from America to the UK, suddenly it's $15 for the shipping.
It costs more than the cassette. Yeah. It's indeed that I know with the poster print business I do with Brian Griffin, ever since lockdown started, the price of shipping has just gone through the roof. So it's
that may be. I don't.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've got a cassette here. I think it's no. I have had one. I think it might be at home. Yeah, it is because my cassette. But I love cassettes anyway, right?
You're old school.
But I was astonished at how good the cassette sounded. Does
it go bloop, 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 bloop in the beginning like that? They have that like...
No, there's no tone on it.
No tone, yeah.
But it just is a bit... It's a big difference between... Like on Bandcamp, the 96K full bandwidth file is available. Obviously, it's a big difference. But I was a bit nervous because we didn't master especially for cassette because I believed we didn't need to, because I've done some other cassettes with Spiritual Friendship. Here's one, actually. This is the last Spiritual Friendship record.
Shout out to Nick, yeah?
Shout out to Nick Hook. The drums cassette. That sounded really good without special mastering. It's mastered again by Joe Laporta at Sterling. And his mastering transferred to the cassette as well for Electrogenetic. So
Okay.
All I'm saying is, I was a bit nervous when I first put it on because these are commercially manufactured cassettes. They're not. This is not a handmade Nakamichi cassette.
Yeah.
But still, I thought I was really pleased. I thought it was really good. So I'm delighted.
Well, let's talk about Electrogenetic now. Now, you guys remember on the first interview, I still said to Gareth, is there going to be a vinyl? He said, no, there's not going to be a vinyl. And I said, I want a vinyl. Gareth said, you want a vinyl. Fast forward to, forgive me if I'm repeating this, guys. This is just for the sake of people who've just joined. But you guys know we are looking at bringing out or pressing the Electrogenetic on vinyl. My label, which is Agro Monkey Records, will handle the pressings and distribution and everything. But as I've said to you guys before, we are going to really involve you guys in this. We're going to do an Indiegogo campaign to crowdfund it.
Yeah.
Now, not necessarily Indiegogo. We're looking into the best ways to do this, but we are really looking for you guys, and a lot of you guys have said you'd like to get behind this, because I think you guys will know as an independent operation as this is, you using your analogy last time, you don't want to print 500 vinyls and have them all stuck on the kitchen table.
That is, I think, the reason why I responded so positively to your idea about saying, let's just find out if people want it.
Correct.
I mean, I know in some ways I'm a bit late to this party because I know that this model's been around for years now, but having stepped up now and become a solo artist, I can see the value of the model, because of course I would, every musician I know loves to have their work on vinyl for the artwork apart from anything else, and the sheer joy of playing the vinyl and the sound, but not at the expense of having a bunch of vinyl in your kitchen that you didn't. That would be unbelievably depressing. Not so much the financial aspect, the emotional aspect I would find very hard to deal with, Vaughn. The financial aspect we could survive.
Yeah.
But so that's why I jumped very positively on your idea, where you said, well, look, let's just find out if people want it. So that's kind of what I'm saying, dear friends, dear internet friends. If there is interest, we'd love to do it. And if there's not interest, I personally accept that. And I hope you can still enjoy listening on Spotify or Tidal, or perhaps buying a cassette or going to Bandcamp and getting a format of your choice. Oh, can I just add that it feels a bit like a global enterprise now, because what's your record company called?
Agro Monkey Records.
Agro Monkey Records are hoping, and I'm hoping, that Agro Monkey Records will, not that there's any aggro here, there are a couple of monkeys obviously, but hoping that we can do the vinyl, and Carmen Collect have done a cassette, but also my new friend Paul in Scotland, I think he is, Wormhole Records.
To do CDs.
They've done a CD, which is, I think, more or less available now-ish on Bandcamp.
Just think in that sentence. You've got Carmen Collect and you've got Agro Monkey on the other. It's wonderful, and Wormhole.
And Wormhole Records.
That's kind of like the more than neutral, the central ground.
And it feels like a bit of a
360,
a global licensing deal.
All bases covered.
And everyone's friends. Everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
It's Wormhole have no interest in cassettes or vinyl. Agro Monkey want to do vinyl. They've no particular interest in doing cassettes or CDs. And Carmen Collect was always a digital and cassette label. So somehow I found some wonderful collaborators and new friends,
synchronicity, brother,
who are helping bring this to the world.
Synchronicity.
And that, can I just say?
Yes, we're going to come straight onto the postcards, and I just want to say, guys, as I said to you last time, this is not a sales pitch. This is not a hard sale. As Gareth and I quite openly said, look, the record is there, it's available. If you want a vinyl, we'll do it. If there's interest, we'll do it. If there isn't, there isn't. But I'm convinced. I want that record on vinyl.
The only hard sell I'm doing here is to say, please listen to it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing to me. And if you like to listen on vinyl, that's awesome too.
Well, just to sort of steal your thunder there.
Please steal my thunder.
I see Gareth just grabbed his stack of postcards. Now, I'm really, really smug about this. This is a that's my fanboy giggle. This is a hand printed postcard.
No, it's not printed.
Hand printed. Sorry, it's a hand-painted postcard. Now Gareth has done these hand-painted postcards, and I was the first to get this. I'm very flattered. This got sent to my address, and it's got some lyrics from the song on your record that I can't listen to because it makes me cry, because it's cut, but no, the song Together Alone, the last track on the album.
Alone Together, but
Alone Together. I always said it the wrong way. Anyway,
matter.
yeah. It actually says, it actually means the same thing.
Kind of does.
Kind of, and it kind of. But anyway, so the whole idea behind this is Gareth's got this idea, and this is completely unique, to send postcards out with lyrics of the songs. And also, it's, sent to you directly. And we talked about, I asked the community if there'd be interest, and people said they would love to receive a postcard from you, Gareth. But then I talked about maybe putting these in envelopes, and then Gareth said, no, that defeats the object, because when you send a postcard, you send a postcard. So like this one, as you see, it got to me, and I'm being very gentle with it. It's got like the sort of dense and the sort of like the flaws that you would naturally get in it as by the postal services.
That was part of my vision for the postcard. Obviously, because they're made with watercolors.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen often, I've sent watercolor postcards to dear friends in the past, like one-offs. But if it were raining, the colors might run.
Yeah.
So but in a way that's part of it, I feel.
Yeah.
So, and I did, like you did, I did think, well, these are actually beautiful artworks. Maybe they should be in envelopes. But I like the idea of the postcard. It's a postcard, man. A postcard doesn't come in an envelope. It's a
very good idea. So there's so more information coming up on that. This is a separate it's part of the Electrogenetic project, but it's kind of like a separate thing. So what it would be is Gareth's going to make these available. We don't know where yet, but Gareth is going to sell these. So it's basically going to be receive a postcard from Gareth Jones. And we're going to start a little campaign, which we're going to hope is going to, when I say go viral for the positive reasons, when you receive the postcard, I'm going to do the first postcard. Once you receive your postcard, you hold it up and you take a photo of yourself and you hashtag it Electrogenetic. So I want to start that kind of thing just to get the ball rolling and see.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if we could get a gallery page.
Yeah.
I would do a gallery page. I've done a little microsite for Electrogenetic. I know you've seen it. I could do a gallery page on there with everyone, if people want to do it, if people play along. Of a photo, or post all the photos. So the reason I did the postcards originally, the reason I dreamt it up, was because I wanted to encourage people to listen to the record. And I wanted to kind of say thanks for listening. Obviously, if I'm going to sell postcards, then I realised it's going to take time and money,
of course,
to do the postcards. So I thought, okay, I can sell the postcards. So it's a bit odd because there's no guarantee that you will listen to the record if you get a postcard. But that's kind of the intention from my heart, is the kind of postcards. And I did a bunch last night because I knew we were going to meet today, and I wanted to show you that I'd done my bit. I've done another bunch of them, and everyone's different, obviously. Here's one. And in a way, that's a postcard from me saying, thanks for listening, and I appreciate your support. And any money left over from the postcards will go towards the mastering of the record. So
yes,
I say, that's the vibe. That's where I am with it.
This is the whole idea: is to get a postcard. I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but you get a postcard and you go, "I just got a postcard from Gareth Jones." I think it'll be so nice. As part of the Electrogenetic project. You see, actually explain how you put them all on a big sheet and then you paint and then you cut them up.
I love watercolours. Yeah. I discovered watercolours about 9 years ago. I don't know why. I had a bit of a breakthrough because for the first time in my life, I didn't paint for years. And when I was a kid, I had like cheap watercolours, but I never had proper watercolour paper. And it's kind of transformative.
And then it runs a lot.
Well, it's totally transformative. Hey, I'm again late to the watercolour party, obviously, but with the right paper, it's amazing. And I started doing collage, inspired by a book called The Artist's Way, which kind of changed my life, actually. And Vaughn might link to that. The woman who wrote it, her name escapes me right now. I'm sorry about that. But it doesn't matter. We can link to it. And the Artist's Way encouraged me to write a journal and to do collage. And that transferred to my musical work, because some of the original compositions I started doing about 10 years ago were very much based on collage. I used field recordings from the 80s that I'd made on cassette and pasted them together into sound art pieces.
Oh, right.
And this moved into painting and drawing and watercolours. So I love the medium because it's kind of non-toxic, and Mrs. Jones doesn't have to put up with the smell of oil colours. I can wash the brushes down the sink and everything. There's loads of reasons. I love the way that it has a life of its own, like the modular synth, the way you can throw the paint on the paper and it does its own thing.
Yeah.
So I make the postcards by using A3 sheets, and I put a bunch of A3 sheets out on the table, and then I paint these pictures, I suppose. And the more I do, the more I start to realise how it might look when they're all... And then I cut the A3 sheets up with a guillotine that I bought into 6x4s.
So they're essentially, when you lay them out, these are like essentially part of a puzzle. If you lay them all out,
you could lay them out and reconstruct the A3 sheets.
So this is interesting. When people purchase these from you, they will be getting a piece of the puzzle, so to speak.
In a kind of a way. But it was never... And that's right, but I never thought about... I never was trying to engineer a jigsaw puzzle. Sure. It was just a wonderful way of... Expressing the first run I did, I thought, it's quite a remarkable process, taking snippets from a bigger piece and turning them into postcards.
It's almost like a microcosm as part of the, you're part of the, getting philosophical, the microcosm part of the macrocosm. Yes.
And in some ways, the smaller images, for me, I mean, I know this is a music podcast,
it's
or
art.
Podcast, whatever.
We're in the
in
art
some
lab,
way,
so.
for me, the smaller images turn out to be more powerful than the bigger A3 images. That's how I experience it. I love the A3 images. My wife said last night, they're beautiful. But then when I cut them up into 6x4s, the borders, around the fact that I've cropped it, the crops are more powerful for me than the big A3 image itself.
Okay.
And also there's a practical issue involved here. It's clearly quicker for me to paint 4 A3 images and chop it up than to do 32 6x4s.
That's very true. That's true.
But it's a really super interesting process, Vaughn. I've really enjoyed it. And I don't quite know yet how I'm going to transfer it to music, but I'm going to find a way.
Oh, you'll find a way. But and I don't want to get too arty-farty, but it's kind of like, if we look at the way we talked about this last time, the way you as an artist work on your music. If we take someone like me, I'm more like a linear producer, which means I will write something. This is the song, and then I will build everything around that structure. Yeah. That's almost like someone who's painting. So if I was an artist, I would go, okay, I'm going to draw a landscape. I'm going to put a house there. But I'm kind of putting a blueprint of what I'm doing is. Whereas with the way you work with the modulars, is you kind of surrender yourself to it. And it's like, let's just see what comes from this. Obviously, you have a plan. But it's a lot more free flowing. It's like taking a canvas and
abstract.
It's abstract. So
more abstract art.
So
I think.
So this is what I'm saying is, and it's kind of like when I did art in school. I didn't do abstract. My art teacher used to tell me, Vaughn, you've got conflict because there's something in you that wants to let go, but you're too rigid at the same time. I was kind of I'm more formulaic, whereas I think you as an artist, it's kind of like. When you look, what I'm saying is, when you look at that and you listen to your record, it's the same person that's done it. I don't know if that makes sense.
And in some ways, there's a connection. The process is similar because these are crops from a larger piece.
Yes.
And some of the electrogenetic work is crops from a larger improvisation, especially that one I told you about. Mercury
is 6 minutes.
That's like a 6-minute crop from a 90-minute improvisation.
Yeah.
So and the crop is more powerful than the original improvisation.
Like a
so there is a parallel. There is already a strange parallel between the painting and the modular work.
Gareth, some people have asked me this, and we talked about this, and of course it's just a question. Some people have asked if you're ever thinking of performing this live.
Live is a big challenge. We're investigating slowly the possibility of doing some streaming gigs.
Well,
Twitch, Facebook Live, something, I don't know.
Because you've never been a performing artist, really. You've
done a little bit with Spiritual Friendship.
Okay. So I said he has an idea. Before you perform it, why don't we do some practice runs on Zoom where people can watch you. So it's kind of like a no pressure kind of.
Like a dress rehearsal.
Yeah. So we'll talk. There's a lot coming, guys, but this coffee's strong, as you can see. It's really got my creative head kicking in. So, guys, we're gonna give you the information on how you can get Gareth Jones to send a postcard to you. We haven't decided exactly. You might do it on your Bandcamp. We haven't got that, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen soon.
It's going to happen soon. But you must remember that this is going to be a handwritten postcard sent directly to you. So this is I think for any fan of the music that you've worked on, I think this is going to be a dream come true for them. So
well, thank you, Vaughn, and it's a big thank you from me for your interest in Electrogenetic and for supporting it by being part of it. Thank you.
So coming back onto the vinyls, Gareth, obviously I've got some very exciting news which I'm going to share with you now. But if you want to just names drop on the mastering of the vinyl.
Oh well, obviously we're putting together a plan.
Correct.
So you have to cut the vinyl.
Correct.
And one of my lovely, dear, genius friends is Alex Wharton at Abbey Road, who I first met because of a vinyl cut that he did on a Radiohead record that I loved. And since then, Alex has mastered many records for projects that I've mixed or produced. And he's a genius, and he's a loving spirit. And of course, I reached out to him first of all to say, would he be available to master the record and how could we make it happen? And he has been super supportive. So, given that we can go ahead, we're going to have it mastered by Alex Wharton at Abbey Road. The thing is to have Alex's ears and skill transfer the music to vinyl. Right,
guys, I've got some very, very exciting news for you guys here. Grab my diary here. So here's some dates for you in the diary. On the 6th of December, Gareth will be appearing live on the Vaughn George YouTube channel via Zoom, and we are going to be doing a live Q&A. So this is your opportunity to ask Gareth any questions you'd like to ask him regarding his career. Remember, we're not going to run through the people, the bands that you've produced and mixed, because the list is endless, but I'm sure a lot of Depeche Mode, Erasure fans there. So come on to this chat. I will supply you with more information, but all you need to do now is block that off on your calendar. December the 6th, it's a Sunday from 7 p.m. UK time. Gareth will be in my studio, and we are going to do a live Zoom Q&A. You can log on. It's limited to 100 spaces.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And a couple of hours we're going to do, right?
We're going to do a couple of hours, yeah.
And I have to warn you that I try not to be a politician, but it might be every question I'll talk about electrogenetic. No, I won't really. I'm there to answer questions.
Look, the bottom line is as well, I mean, we're not sort of going to beat around the bush. We are here to promote Gareth's album and vinyl.
Thank you,
no, we are. And I just think, it's a give and take thing. We are asking people to get behind this. And at the same time, I'm aware of the fact that you have so many questions that you want to ask Gareth. So I just thought, why not bring Gareth onto a chat where you can ask him questions yourself?
Yeah, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. And I look forward to it, actually.
And then, of course, these chats will be live streamed onto the Vaughn George YouTube channel. And then, of course, we are going to start the groundwork to the crowdfunding campaign to get, and I know it's great to have your work on vinyl, but I've been quite pushy about this, not in a bad way, but I'm like, I want a vinyl. I want this in vinyl.
I appreciate the support, you know that.
And this, and it's for no other reason that I absolutely love the record. Although I can't listen to the last song because it makes me cry.
But we love vinyl.
We do, absolutely. And it was who was your friend who said it's actually the worst sounding of the formats, but it's just a lovely way to consume music.
Well, that's a great musician and producer and writer, a friend of mine called Reinhold Heil, who I had the great pleasure of meeting in Berlin in the 80s. He said recently that it may be the worst sounding of all the available formats. Worst sounding, whatever that means. It means the most coloured away from the digital file, perhaps.
Sure.
But it's the most beautiful way to listen to music. And I kind of really relate to that. I bought my most recent deck I bought 3 months ago.
Oh, the
project, the one at home.
Yeah.
The Mitchell, the Mitchell one is I've had for years. The fancy one, but I bought a really nice project deck for Studio G a few months ago because I wanted to have almost vinyl in every room. There's a little Riga deck up here.
I see.
That I still love. And anyway, there's something magical about it. It's a beautiful experience, as we all know. Every vinyl lover knows that. So.
Just a quick geeky question. The bottom end on Electrogenetic is something that a lot of producers have commented on.
What, too much?
No. No, you did say that the bottom end was very important to you on this. And when people have commented on how great the bottom end is. No.
Phew.
If you need help with it, give me a shout. No, but seriously, people have commented on, and I don't want to turn this into a geek talk discussion, but
sounds like you do.
Can't help myself. But it is difficult whenever you're, engineering bass. It's difficult not to overcook it. But the bottom end on that record is fantastic. So the question I'm asking this is, obviously, when it's done on vinyl, this is why vinyl mastering is so important, to get a good vinyl mastering. Is it a mastering engineer?
Yeah,
a vinyl mastering engineer. Yeah, because
vinyl cutter really.
Correct,
but mastering. Yeah, obviously, vinyl can you can get great bass on vinyl.
Yes.
But
it's never going to be
a genius to do it.
Yeah.
So
So that's what I'm going to say. Isn't that was one of the questions Gareth asked? Is if we're going to do this on vinyls, who's going to do the vinyl mastering? And I said, well, I don't know, Gareth. You know the people better than I do. So obviously we're delighted to have.
Yeah, Alex. That's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
The one of the things that where bass is challenging on vinyl is stereo bass.
Yes,
because the needle jumps out. Yeah. But I mean, that's well known. They mono the bass slightly, if necessary. Lots of my bass, I'm thinking vinyl anyway. Lots of the bass on the record is monoed anyway. Yes. But sometimes if you've got a really big stereo bass, it has to be monoed on vinyl. Otherwise, the only way to get it to track is to roll the bottom end off, and no one wants that.
No,
You'd much rather have the bass monoed a bit and full and present. So it's a challenge, but I know it'll work. I've done it before. I know it's going to work.
Well, listen, guys, we can probably cap it here. As I'm sitting here, I think we could talk for ages. But all I want to say is keep watching this space. We've got a lot of things up our sleeves. A lot of fly on the wall type things. As I say, I'm very excited about this electrogenetic project that Gareth has started, as indeed I know a lot of you are as well. So there will be a lot more of these fly on the wall type things. That's all I'm going to say, and a lot more to come. So really excited about this. Once again, 6th of December, we're going to do Zoom chats with Mr. Gareth Genius Jones here, and you can ask him any questions you've ever wanted to ask him. Gareth, anything else you'd like to say before we?
Oh, just briefly, I should confess, full disclosure, the postcards are going to be limited somehow. I don't know. It's pretty time-consuming doing them.
Sure.
I love making them, and they are made with love, but somehow they're going to be limited. I don't know. What am I going to do, 100 or something? I haven't decided yet, but I just wanted to share that. Not that my wife said, you probably won't. No one will want those. But not that I'm presuming that 100 people will want a postcard, but somehow I've got to limit them.
I think more. Well, special shout out and a thank you to Mrs. Jones for allowing Gareth to come out and play on the 6th. He did actually phone to ask her permission.
Thank you, honey. Well, yes, I did.
But it wasn't permission.
Yes, I did.
I don't want to get into a sticky situation here. But just to emphasize something again on the postcards, guys, these are not, copied. These are hand-painted, hand cut, and they're going to be handwritten and sent out to you. So when you get this postcard, it will actually have your name and address, and it will actually have lyrics from one of the songs. I think you
a greeting or whatever.
However you're just going to write what you feel at the time. That's what's great about this. It's going to be, I don't want to use the word random, but it's going to be completely unique, and you're going to get a piece of Gareth's soul here.
And they are all different as well. Just so I don't want anyone to be disappointed. You're not going to get that one. That's the one that Vaughn got.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you get this one, you're not going to get this one.
Yeah.
Because everyone's different.
And that is obviously why, because there will be a limit, because to prevent Gareth from getting repetitive strain syndrome, because they are hand printed and handwritten, we don't know how many are going to be made available, but we will give you the information as to where you can obtain them. And as I say, it'll be a limited edition. When you're long gone one day, God forbid, they'll be worth a fortune.
Oh, there you go.
Gareth, thank you so much for seeing us.
Nice to see you here.
And I look really forward to the next chat.
Great.
Adios, guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye now.